Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 30 of What If Naruto Was a Direct Descendant of the Sage. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline over on Anime King 2. And over Anime King 3, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Awakened the Ready Tenseigan. So go ahead and enjoy that guys. And yeah, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels: Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Teiwai was facing off against Hidan. But no matter what she did, the man just kept on getting back up, as she even skewered him right through the skull, piercing her fluke right through his eye. But the man got back up. Teiwai then went into Sage mode as she absorbed the natural energy around, her body changing, as she attacked him with a new vigor. The battle was intense as she smashed him to a pulp, punches that would have broken down another man a long time ago. But no matter what happened, Hidan just kept getting back up as he managed to slice her after she ran out of Sage mode. The natural energy she had gathered quickly sapped out as he tasted her blood, as Haku was making his way over to her as he watched her fall as Hidan stabbed himself in the heart. He quickly grabbed her and get out of there. She was dying as she started to cough, as she was glad that she get to see him before she had to go off, as she kissed him, surprising Haku as she fell. Haku did something that he thought, well, if it didn't work, she was gonna die anyway, as he froze her body, freezing up all of her internal organs. It worked as her body was placed in stasis until he could get her to Naruto. He wasted no time as he took on Hidan, as he froze the man completely. Meanwhile, Naruto was facing off against Kakazu. Kakazu didn't stand a chance against him. His threats, they were absolutely nothing. Especially when Naruto entered Sage mode, his speed, his strength, everything just increased. He took away all of Kakazu's chakra, the Genton technique, started to fade away from his body threads, started to go back and make back organs, as Kakazu turned into a shriveled up old, very old man in his 90s. The man was unable to move or do anything as he just breathed. He felt pain as Naruto simply made his way off. Haku quickly carried off Teiwai to meet up with Naruto at Uzo, as he guessed that is where Naruto was going. As Fu also met up with Naruto as they made their way. Naruto was concerned when he saw her, but Haku did something great as that had saved her life, so they could work on her. But another barrier came up, as Haku smashed his fist on it. Some of Teiwai's blood get in the barrier. It seems like Teiwai was a Uzumaki, as the barrier opened up as he went through it. Meanwhile, Toby appeared as he made his way. He sliced off Hidan's arm, as he didn't know how the Jashinis would come out of that. His brain, his organs freezing. He didn't know, but he took his arm to take the ring, as he went and found the broken, shriveled up form of Kakazu. Pathetic, that was all the man could say, as he thought that at least Kakazu would stand a chance against that brat. But he did not. But his Sharingan loaned in on Kakazu though, as he wanted to know everything that Kakazu know, and how Naruto fight, and how he was overall. As Kakazu could do nothing but submit, as he didn't have the power or the strength, he had nothing to fight back. He was just a weak, broken old man. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check out for yourself. So these day begin this new episode. Toby reappear once again, where Fu had battled White Zetsu. As he looked down at White Zetsu's scorched and limp form, he simply stared for a few moments as he noticed the absence of the ring on Zetsu's finger. He glanced around, trying to take in what he can about the Nanabe's fighting style. This place is truly cursed. I can see why he warned me away from this. As he sighed as he glanced back towards Zetsu. Another ring lost, and I can't even be certain why. He grunted, having his chakra locked away like this. It made him feel weak. No wonder he was always annoyed by the Uzumaki. The masked man said, speaking about someone from his past. Well, we can't be down a ring like this. It's too inconveniencing, he said as he looked around. A chuckle escaped his lips. It was about time that he paid a certain visit to a snake anyway. With that, he disappeared in a vortex, vanishing like he wasn't even there at all. So, she's stable. Haku's voice quivered as he looked over at Teiwaya's body. Fu was at the girl's side, keeping a careful watch over her healing injuries. Her skin had retained that natural color that she used to have, as it was still a bit pale on one side though. But that should be coming back around. And she was breathing regularly. Yeah, said Naruto, she's strong. I knew that she would pull through. Haku just nodded, never taking his eyes off the red head. But now that we know she's okay, we have to move on. Hiruto is still waiting for us in Uzu, and who knows what that madman has been doing while we're here. Haku nodded, his eyes still in the red head. Someone should stay and watch over Teiwaya to make sure that her injuries does open up again. I think I'll do it, Haku said, interrupting Naruto. As Naruto gave a soft smile, I was gonna say I think it should be Fu. She has more medical experience. Don't you think she should be here if anything goes bad? She'll be better to handle the situation. He lowered his head. I still want to stay with her. I just need to. He was expecting Naruto to tell him otherwise, to stop thinking with his emotions like he was doing. But the blonde simply patted him on the shoulder as he walked past him. I figured that you might say something like that. You're pretty low on chakra anyway, even after that rest. Haku looked up, but Naruto was looking at him. He was looking straight towards the ruins of Uzu. Plus, as a teasing tone came in his voice, I have a feeling that your face is the first thing she wants to see when she wakes up. As Haku blushed a bit, but Naruto already started walking off to the village. Wait, you're not taking Fu? Naruto simply chuckled as he waved a hand as he walked off. Like I said, I would feel more comfortable with her tending Teiwaya. Tell her that, would you? Knowing her, she'll try to run after me. Haku saw Naruto walked off as he made his way as he lost sight of him. Naruto made his way as he walked through the ruins, as there was a massive open out area, underground passageway. As he made his way, he was right in the heart of the village. Distance below it as his water sense was telling him where Hiroko was. Even if he didn't have the ability, Hiroko had left rather large signs pointing towards the location. The underground area he was in didn't seem to be affected by the war. It was relatively untouched. It was probably some underground bunker area for storing supplies, or maybe for evacuation. But he thought better of it when his senses told him that this long corridor led to a single room, not big enough to hold civilians or supply room. As he walked into the chamber, brightly lit by seals that were on the upper wall. Ah, there you are. We finally meet face to face at last. Please come in, Hiroko said as he was there waiting for him, smiling brightly. But Naruto paused as he looked at the ground looking for seals that might be set as a trap. But he did not see any. Hiroko simply grinned. Oh, come now, my Victor, don't be shy. Do you need an incentive? Asked Hiroko. As Naruto was confused until the man stepped to the side. As Naruto saw Hanoka, she was chained up. Her head was hung low. Hanoka, he said as he stepped forward. As he moved to her aid, but unfortunate for him, he fell straight into Hiroko's trap. The white hair man slammed his hand on the wall, and the chakra that he was pushing into the seal lit up. A previously inactive seal sprung up right underneath him. The next step he took, intense exhaustion washed right over him like a tidal wave. He felt his chakra being leached from him and into a large seal around the ground. Aha, yes. The moment has finally arrived as Hiruto bounced on the balls of his feet as he turned to a previously unremarkable wall behind him, as it now burned with a massive seal array that was lit up with Naruto's chakra. Ow, said Naruto gritted teeth, as he was fighting the strain of having his chakra ripped away from him like that. There was no seal there before. Hiruto turned towards him as he was skipping out of the room. Of course there was, my Victor, he said in that cheery voice of his, mocking Naruto, as Naruto was desperately trying to hold on to his chakra through his freedom path. But the seal on the ground was too powerful. He could break it in Sage mode, but his control was too messed up to gather Senjutsu right now. You simply couldn't see it because there was no chakra in it yet. You played your hand too early, my blonde friend. You let me know that you could see chakra when you stared up at the barriers, as I realized that you could see them quite clearly, despite others unable to. On any other day, those eyes would be fascinating to me. It's not every day you come across some new dojutsu after all. But today's my day. The day I prove all those half-brained idiots wrong. As he walked over to Hanoka and lifted her chin, as her eyes were unfocused and dazed. They called me crazy. That Uso was nothing but a ruin, and it was picked clean years ago. As his grip on her chin became tighter, as she winks, I spent years picking through these ruins, copying and studying every dormant seal, everything that was not stolen or was burned. Then I found this place deep within Uso's heart. But it wasn't to be. I couldn't crack it, not as I was. So I studied, I learned, I mastered every seal I could find here. But it still wasn't enough, he said as he dropped Hanoka's chin. As she released a small whimper. I was no Uzumaki. Their blood did not run in my veins, so I could not activate the island defenses, which I had put back together. But then fate saw fit to hand me her, a real, breathing Uzumaki with her precious blood running through her veins. As he rushed over to Naruto, as he stopped right in front of a seal with a grin. From there, it was only a matter of time before the island defenses belonged to me. You experienced them yourself, the barriers, design, the set of fighting areas, the change that suit Uzumaki style of fighting, the chakra that was around the entire village that responded only to Uzumaki's themselves. But don't you see, my Victor, that was only the tip of the Uzumaki's genius. As he turned back to the wall where the seal had stopped glowing. This is your vault, buried deep under the village. It must contain their secrets, centuries of sealing knowledge that will be mine, for me to learn and control. He turned, his cape flapping behind him as he pointed dramatically at Naruto. And you were the final piece. I needed someone with incredible chakra to activate it. Even the Uzumaki girl wasn't enough, and then you came. As Naruto understood why Hanoka was exhausted now, the man had been stealing away her chakra. As he gritted his teeth. Oh, don't bother trying to break that seal beneath you, boy. You need Uzumaki blood to deactivate it. And the only Uzumaki girl is over here. Well, besides that remarkable one you brought with you. But now you're all alone. As Naruto looked down, his eyes widened for a moment. Perhaps it wasn't like he thought. Maybe his name wasn't random after all. As he slowly started to reach toward his thumb to bite it. Now, said Naruto, as he stood in front of the seal in a ring with a kunai in hand. Let's see what's behind the door. As he grabbed Hanoka and sliced her palm, as he slammed her bloody hand on the seal in a ring. As the stone wall split open to reveal what was inside, a bright light swallowed the entire area. This is it, Naruto said as the thing slid apart. There was a moment of silence as Naruto and Naruto tried to peer into the darkness of the room. As Naruto strained his eyes to pick up the slight detail in the room, but long dormant seals came to life, illuminating the entire chamber. As a massive library was revealed, with shelves upon shelves upon shelves of scrolls. Naruto took a step forward on shaky legs. This is it. The Uzumaki treasure I read about. It's finally within my reach. As he stepped in with an exciting grin on his features. Naruto paused though as he heard a grunt behind him. As he turned to see Naruto still struggling. I won't let you, said Naruto. Oh wow, said Naruto. You're still conscious. And you're still moving. I'm surprised. As far as I can tell, that seal was used by 5 fully grown Uzumaki members, and it would still leave them all drained. You really are a chakra beast, aren't you? Even the famous Kisame would be dead from the seal, and here you are, still struggling against it. Well, as fascinating as that is, as you can see, I have more important things to do. As he rushed inside the library. Damn it, know that the seal was filled. It had become easier, but it was still holding him down. As he decided he had nothing to lose, as he bit his thumb and wiped his blood over the seal. For a few moments, nothing happened. The hope that he had, that his name meant something, was fading away. But suddenly, the seal started to glow green, and then fade away into nothingness. For a few moments, he just lay there, panting, as his chakra stabilized. But then a smile split his face. He had family. For a moment, it was alien to him, the situation as a whole. But he had family. Real blood family. But his gaze then darkened as he looked up towards Hirko, stepping deeper into the chamber. That man was about to disturb something precious to his family. He wouldn't allow it. As he staggered to his feet, his head feeling a bit faint with a little chakra rushing through his body. Well, little to him anyway. The chakra would have been able to fill at least 4 jonins. But to him, who used to have Biju, level reserves, and beyond, it was like he was running on fume. As he walked around, as he saw Naruto, still gripping onto the chain that held Hanoka hands together. No, no, no! As he slapped away several of his scrolls. This isn't right. Where are the jutsus? Where are the sealing techniques? He released Hanuka's chain as he read through scroll after scroll. Bird surf ticket? Marriage license? Who cares about this crap? Where are the techniques? Where is the treasure? He says. He looked around. He heard a chuckle as he turned to see Naruto standing there. You idiot, don't you see? Hiroko got over his shock quickly, not even caring that Naruto was able to break out of that trap. What? What could I have possibly missed? Naruto said. The Uzumakis obviously didn't care about techniques. What use are they to the dead? Their treasure isn't some ultimate sealing techniques. It's family. Naruto dropped to the ground confused. As he looked around the massive room and all the scrolls contained within, each of them had a name on it, so that the memories would pass on, even after the clan demise. It was no wonder why this room was guarded above others. They were trying to preserve their legacy, their family. No, it can't be, he says. He grabbed his head, feeling all of those names mocking him, just like his colleague had. It must be some kind of trick. There must be seals on the scrolls, hiding the real information to throw people off. He grabbed a scroll as it read Katsumi Uzumaki. I just need Uzumaki blood to solve everything as he spun around to reach Hanoka. Naruto raised his hand, universal pull, as he caught Hanoka softly, as Hiroko reached nothing. It's over, Hiroko. There's nothing for you in this room. The man gripped the scroll so tight it snapped in half the delicate glass edge cut into his palm but did not care. It's not over yet. I have to keep looking. The secrets of the Uzumakis will be mine. I've come to... He didn't get any further though, as his blood dripped onto the floor, triggering a seal that activated because he didn't have Uzumaki blood. The kanji glowed an ominous red. Naruto raised his arm to pull the man away from it, but he was too tired. As lightning rose up and electrocuted the man at a dangerous level. As Naruto pulled him out of it, but by the time it was over, the man's body was smoking, his flesh black. He was twitching everywhere. As Naruto turned towards Hanoka and pumped his chakra into her to give her back some energy, the girl stared for a few seconds before she looked up, her eyes blinking rapidly. Naruto? Her lips curled up into a small smile she recognized, the ripple orbs that she remembered. I told you, we were a family. I knew it, she said, her head fall back as she fell unconscious with a smile on her face. He made sure she was okay before standing back up. As he staggered on his feet, it had been a long while since he felt this drain. Usually his chakra was infinite, but it was all over now and Hiroko had been dealt with, at least for now, as the man was twitching occasionally from the electricity running through his veins. Without medical attention, he probably died from his burns, his body going into shock and shutting down. Naruto wasn't sure what to do as he walked over to the man, looking down at him as the man was still twitching. He will decide this man's fate, whether the man live or die. A large part of the blonde thought that he deserved it. He was the reason Teiwaya nearly died, and he deserved his fate. But with a sigh, he knelt down as he started to deal with the worst of Hiroko's wounds. Ultimately, it was not his place to decide who would live or die. The man was defeated, he would get what is coming to him when Hanoka recovered. If anyone get to decide his fate, it would be her, because she had been his prisoner for probably months. Naruto got back up when he was finished as he made his way to the library, a small smile coming on his face. His hand drifted across the many scrolls. Each one of these names, they belonged to a member of his family. As he reached the end of the room where a mural was painted on the wall, it was an enormous spiral wide note from a center point, and there was a name. The name spread as more lines, more names go down, as it was a family tree. It possibly contained every single Uzumaki that was in this room. There were different insignias showing marriage out of the clan. There were a lot of them. Somewhere here was his mother, or father, or in another life his name might be here as well. He made his way towards the scrolls that Naruto had thrown on the floor as he picked them up. And placed them back on their shelves. As he looked at the one that the man crushed in his palm, as he unraveled it, there was a blank scroll, probably there for this as well. As he started to copy the information before placing it back up, Uzu might have been destroyed, but the Uzumakis were far from dead. A week passed. It was a week of recovery for everyone. Physically for Teiwaya, emotionally for Naruto. The island was calm, turning to what it just was, ruins. But as Naruto sat on a broken building top, he felt like life had returned back to his ancestral home. Naruto had been locked away until something was to be decided about him. But that wasn't on Naruto's mind right now. Ryu, for your thoughts, cousin, said Anoka as she appeared beside him as she sat down. As Naruto returned her smile, still not used to the way that she now addressed him. It was just so weird to think that he actually had a blood family. He had built a family through bonds, precious bonds that he made. But to think that he actually have a blood family, he was a part of the Uzumaki clan. I was just thinking it would be sad to leave this place. It really is beautiful when I try to imagine it as what it used to be. Anoka's face turned on at that as she looked, her eyes going over to the sea where the whirlpools were spinning rapidly. So you're really going then, Anoka asked. As Naruto nodded, yeah, it's great knowing that after all this time and everything, that I have a home to return to, if I wanted. And trust me, as he patted the rooftop, I'll be coming back here, he said, but there's still something I have to do in this world. And I can't just settle down yet, until I fulfill that purpose, he said. She was still saddened, after all. She had family out there, and Naruto was gonna slip away from her. But what's your purpose? As a light from the sun. The afternoon sun catches here. His entire body seemed to just lighten up. I still don't really know, but I guess that's just a part of life, he said, as he chuckled to himself. In any case, they're a promise that still need to be fulfilled. I broke one once, and nearly tore my heart apart. It's only thanks to my friends that it did not. But until I can secure peace with the people I care about, my purpose in this life has not been fulfilled. She just stared at him, as a smile came on her lips. You know, I didn't know her family just like you, but from what I heard and what I saw, I think they will be proud of that dream. She leaned over as she hugged him, as she broke away and gave one glance over their home. I can let you outdo me, she said. I'm a proud Uzumaki, so I will do whatever in my power to rebuild our home. I won't let any other of our family go through what they did in the past. There will always be a place for us here. Naruto nodded, a small bond forming between them as they shared their dreams. I think our family will be proud of that as well, said Naruto. So I wish you luck in your path. I'll be back someday to take a place in my home. As she grinned as she walked over towards the edge. And I'll make sure you always have a place here, she said, as she dropped off the ledge with a smile. As Naruto thought about the past week. Flashback. Haku. As Naruto waved over at Haku, as Teiwaya's eyes started to open up, the young Yuki flashed over so fast it was like a blur as he glanced over her eyes. God damn it. It feels like Jobo was jumping on my chest. What the hell happened? As she blinked several times to see a caring, brown set of eyes looking down at her. Haku? As she looked up closer. Haku? Yeah, it's me, Teiwaya, he said. She reached up her hand to touch his cheek. Haku, she said, a smile. As he smiled back, her smile then turned into a snarl as she punched him right in the face. That sent him reeling. You idiot, she said. To the side, Hanoka and Naruto and Fu had large sweat drops coming from their head. As she jumped forward and started to grab Haku by the shirt and shake him. Why the hell did you have to go and die, you shithead? Teiwaya, he said as he got dizzy. As Naruto cleared his throat, she glared around towards him as she realized. Wait, I'm not dead? As she saw Naruto standing there, along with Fu and a red head. As Naruto shook his head, you're not dead. Her smile came back up before it turned to a frown. She then got to her feet as she marched over to Naruto. What the hell, Blondie? You revived me with that messed up reanimation jutsu. Am I a zombie or something now? As Naruto took a step back. No. As she must be really confused. Haku managed to freeze your body before you could die. And he froze all of your inner organs to keep you in that state. And brought you to me so I can heal you. You're alive, fully. No revival happened, said Naruto. She paused. As she turned back towards Haku, who just got back up. A small blush came over her nose as she remembered what happened. But she thought that she was gonna die. As Haku cheeks got a bit red as well. Well, thanks I guess, said Teiwaya. Hanoka leaned over to Naruto. Has your friend always been a Tsunari, she asked. A what? Never mind, said Hanoka. As they both looked back up as Teiwaya. Her cheeks were incredibly red right now. Well, that shit I said. I thought I was dying, so she was cut off as Haku kissed her. As after a moment her eyes accepted it, as you could see it, as she leaned into the gesture. After a tense few moments, Hanoka coughed in her hand. As Teiwaya reached up and smacked Haku in the cheek, he staggered back, looking a bit confused, as she was red, just like her hair. That was for freezing me, you idiot. It was stupid and was reckless. She stepped forward as she kissed him on the same cheek, and that was for saving me, I guess. as Hanoka had hearts in her eyes. As Fu grabbed her as Naruto left the room, along with her. The week had been filled with heartwarming moments like those, especially now that they were more open about their feelings. And they also told her as well, so what, am I Uzumaki just because my blood deactivates some barrier? Naruto nodded, backed up by Hanoka, as the three of them were in a quiet seating. But this place is huge, so the Uzumakis might have other family or clans here. So I could be from one of them, as Naruto understand how she must be feeling. Some people took news differently. Some people accepted, some people got curious, and some people denied. Guess she was one of those persons that denied. Actually, Hanoka said, the Uzumakis were known for their red hair. It's very likely that you're related to them. As Naruto ran a hand through his blonde hair with a frown in his face, as Teiwaya frowned as well. So that would make you my cousin or something, right? Said Teiwaya. As Naruto nodded, Hanoka nodded a smile. It's great, we could have been anything from distant cousins to long-term relatives that would have never met, even if Uzu wasn't destroyed. I think it's exciting not to know. We can just be family, said Hanoka, as Naruto smiled at that, as that was a good idea to have. So, what does that change then, Teiwaya asked. Well, it doesn't have to change anything. To me, you're still Teiwaya. But now I can just call you family as well. On the other hand, it can change everything entirely. We aren't just nameless outcasts anymore. We have a home to go back to. People to count on, thanks to blood, or to treat the exact same way. It's up to you. He stood up and placed a hand on her shoulder before walking out, his shakijo clinking. But Hanoka pounced on Teiwaya as she started to badger her with lots and lots of questions. He just quickened his pace when Hanoka wanted to talk. It was really hard to get her to stop. In the flashback, as Naruto was broken from his thoughts when he heard the battle going on below him. It was Fu and Teiwaya again ever since she lost with Hidan. She was aggressive to spar as she wanted the upper strength. She had even sucked up and asked him to help her, so he gave her tips while in sage mode. She always let the power up go to her head, sacrifice her skill for brute strength. It was effective, but up against someone like Hidan, or someone that you need taste, it was, well, not really effective. Haku was also shaken by her near-death experience, and Naruto was sure that he was off somewhere working on his speed and technique. Even Hanoka is getting into it, but Naruto wasn't sure if she was serious or she was just going along with the group, as she didn't really have friends, so having the company was good for her. Time skipped, as Naruto stood as he watched over the raging water, with a smile on his face, but he was a bit saddened. You know, I really never expected this, he said. I always knew our paths had to be divided at some point, but never this soon, he said. The news that Teiwaya wanted to stay in Uzu to help rebuild her family home with Hanoka had came at a shock to Naruto and Fu, and that Haku wanted to stay with her to see where their newfound relationship would be taking them was less shocking, but still, they were still upset by the news. Hey, it's hard for us too, you know, said Teiwaya, as you could really hear it in her voice, her that was usually uncaring about most things. Haku nodded, his eyes showing a sad expression. Choosing between his friend and Teiwaya was a choice he'd rather not make, but one he had to. He had been happy, beyond happy, traveling with a blonde for the past 3 years. While he was sure he would still be happy with Teiwaya, it was really hard to say goodbye. As he stepped forward and pulled Fu and then Naruto into long hugs. I owe you more than I can even repay. Not only for saving my life, but for saving Teiwaya's and saving me for myself. You showed me that I could live for myself, that my worth was greater than a tool. Even though I don't regret my time with Zabuza for a second. Like I said, I can't even begin to repay that debt. But I still want to thank you for everything. As Naruto smiled, the boy, even Fu, had a small smile on her face, as that was a lot, especially from people who knew her. You shouldn't worry, said Naruto, you more than make up for it by simply being a friend to us. To reaffirm his statement, Naruto quickly returned a friendly hug, but he didn't make it too long. After all, he wasn't saying goodbye. He would see them again. As Naruto then turned to Teiwaya, as she looked at him. What? You expect some fancy goodbye speech from me or something, she said, as she huffed and crossed her arms. You don't need to say anything, Teiwaya. You can say anything you like the next time we talk. As it was a short goodbye for now. As he then turned, after all he already said goodbye to the others. But someone grabbed his hand as he was pulled into a awkward hug. As she didn't have much practice with a hug after all. As Naruto wrapped his arm around her and gave her a hug back. After a moment, two of them pulled away. As she looked down, thank you, Naruto, she said. As she got back confidence in her tone and she lifted her head. I mean it, for saving me, for freeing me, for giving me a second chance after everything, for giving me something I never thought would have happened to me. as she glanced towards Haku. I owe you more than a debt I couldn't even repay in this lifetime, she said. She chuckled, her posture relaxing. But at the same time, I knew you would never hold me to anything, even if I don't really understand why. As everyone then looked at him, expecting him to say something, even though he was not sure what to say. I'm not really sure what to say, like I said. I didn't expect this so soon, as he once again felt that rush of sadness from parting from them. But when he looked back up, that soft smile was on his face once again. I never knew what it was like to have friends or family before the temple took me in. Even there, I only received a glance of normal life I could have had. However, said Naruto as he looked at all of them, being with all of you is the closest thing to family I'll ever have in this life. I can guarantee you. So in a way, I owe each of you my own death. As their eyes widened a bit, not knowing that he felt that way, or at least so strongly. But I know I'm gonna repay that debt someday because this isn't the last time we're gonna meet. So how about no more goodbyes, alright? As he reached down and touched the ground with his hand, there was a poof. A drill beak bird appeared, looking at the group with his ring eyes. As Naruto and Fu hopped onto the bird, holding on to the black rod that was coming from his back. Take good care of Uzu while I'm gone. I'll hold you to your promise, Sanoka, he said. The bird started to flap its wing as the three teens on the beach had to hold their clothing as it picked up in the sky with Naruto and Fu waving goodbye. Wow, he really does know how to make an exit, doesn't he? Hanoka said. Are you guys really sure about staying? It must be really amazing to travel with someone like that. Both Haku and Teiwai sighed fondly as they watched a small dot disappear out of sight. Yeah, it was, they said. It was already late in the morning, so when they arrived, the sun was going down as a bird set them down near the island coast. As Fu hopped off the bird first. She was no stranger to flying, but this bird always gave her a chill down her spine. When you look at her with its ring-gun eyes, it unnerved her because they were metallic grey, completely different from Naruto's own. It's been a long time since we were here, said Naruto. As he patted the bird didn't even seem to notice. It was almost like it was anxious to get away. And that was strange. After all, Naruto created out of his chakra, so it shouldn't have much, well, resilience. It doesn't seem to have changed all that much, Fu said. As Naruto shook as he looked around the forest that they landed in, they had caught glimpses of Nami no Kuni from the air, and Fu was right, it didn't seem to change that much, structurally. But as they made their way through the forest and made their way into the main road, they were surprised. Wow, the streets were buzzing with life. At first, it was empty, given the fact that they were too afraid to walk outside because of Gato thugs, and the depression that was always there was now non-existent. If he wasn't there to see the broken form of it before, he would have never imagined it that way, because it looked like a thriving town now. As the both of them started to slip through the crowds, it took a few minutes, but they finally reached a house that they remember so much. But it was painted, and the wood was cleaned up, and the flower garden that was there had bloomed into a massive one. A young, dark-haired woman sat outside, as she was patching up a pair of brown, dark working pants. Tsunami. The woman looked up as she turned her head. As she looked at the two teens approaching her, she noticed their hair, and she was a bit confused by, well, their appearance. As she took a closer look, looking at the Shakijo in the boy's hand, and the green hair from the girl. Naruto? Fu? Time skip, as Tsunami invited them inside the moment they arrived, as they were now around a new table. As Naruto was sipping some tea. It is really good to see you two again, safe and well. As Naruto nodded, did you two happen to get a look around the village before stopping by? As Naruto nodded, her smile seemed to only grow even more. It's wonderful, isn't it? I even have fleeting moments when I forget those times back then. Everything is so much better now. I could barely believe it myself, said Naruto. I couldn't imagine that so much could happen in only 3 years. Was this really because of Gato's death, Naruto wondered. He might not have been around to see. Gato got his throat torn out by a vengeful Zabuza, as he had found out though. Actually, said Tsunami, as bad as things were under Gato's thumb, the man actually kept the nation economically stable. With his death, people celebrated, but once everything was over, we started to realize that the country was without leadership of any kind. We were poor already, and we didn't have the resources to kickstart our economy. However, we were lucky. With the bridge completed, we were connected back to the outside world. And a young noble from Hain no Kuni realized the situation that we were in. He gave us a substantial donation to help us get back on our feet. And everything you see today is because of his kind actions. That took Naruto back for a moment, but in a good way. Acts like that were rare to see nowadays. But Tsunami laughed, a soft tinkling sound. I'm sure he probably did to raise his profile in the courts of such, she said. As Naruto shared a laugh, hoping that wasn't the case. After all, he was ever the optimist. So where is Descendant Nuri? Naruto asked. As Tsunami looked back over to the brown pants that she was repairing. Both are in Konoha at the moment, working on the reconstruction job our nation was hired to help with. Naruto raised eyebrow at that. Reconstruction? What happened, he said. You haven't heard? It was very big over the recent weeks. I was away from civilization for a while. You can almost say I was stuck on an island, he said. She looked at the blonde monk oddly for a moment before glancing towards Fu, who simply shook her head. Well, it seems Konoha was recently attacked. Wait, attacked? By who? Was it the Akatsuki? He might have been trying to sever those thin ties to his home, but there were still innocent people there. People that shouldn't get harmed, because the Akatsuki was looking for him. Tsunami seemed confused by the outburst, but looked up in thought anyway. Oh no, I believe it was a place known as Sargakor that attacked them, using some flying machines. Then again, who can say what is rumor and what is truth, with all those fantastic things that shinobis can do anyway? For all I know, some shinobis can walk through walls. As Naruto frowned a bit though as he remembered those flying people that he saw, it couldn't be a coincidence. Supposedly, they dropped explosive all over the village, and from what father told me, it caused a lot of damage. Naturally, Inari had to follow his grandfather, wanting to see a real, live shinobi village, even if it was just for repair. She looked at the two as she realized how closely they sat to one another, as that made a smirk came on her face. He really looked up to you too, you know. You made a large impact on our nation, she said. He may never become a shinobi, and I can only hope for my own sake, she said. But your impact on him has changed his complete view of the world. You should see him, acting stoic and mature, especially around the girls, she said. Yet on the inside, he's the same kind and caring boy Kaizan raised him to be. At that, Fu smiled slightly, remembering the slightly irritating boy who kept on attacking her with the wooden kunai. I'm glad to hear it. Tsunami took a sip of her tea, as she realized how long she had been talking. Oh, listen to me, just rambling on. Was there any particular reason you came to visit, she asked. No, we were just passing through, on our way to the Hidden Rain, said Naruto. For raised eyebrows, she looked at Naruto. She thought they were going towards Kaminari no Kuni to warn Killer Bee about the Akatsuki. He simply gave her a small glance, saying that he would talk to her later in private about it. He had many things to tell her before, but it was a bit difficult to hold a good conversation on top of the bird flying through the air. Well, I heard that country is rather isolated. That was all she knew about the country. It's getting late, she said. Why don't you two stay for the night? He was about to decline the offer to not impose on her hospitality, but Fu beat him to it. Thanks. That is very kind of you, Tsunami-san, she said. The woman beamed as she stood up, as, with her father gone and her son gone as well, she was left here all by herself, so to have company was rather nice. As she went to set her rooms. Time skip. So, the Hidden Rain. As Naruto came over and sat down in the bed, Tsunami had apologized for the lack of space, as she said that this was her only guest room. But she chuckled a bit for some reason, confusing Naruto, as she gave the both of them a smile when she left. A rather strange smile. He didn't know why though. Oh yeah, said Naruto, the Hidden Rain. I never got around to telling you guys. With Teiwai and Haku staying behind, it slipped my mind for a moment, he said. I talked to Kakazo after we fought. She narrowed her eyes. You know, that old man you saw near me, he said. She nodded. He told me something rather troubling. It seems I am not the only one in this world that possessed the Rinnegan. Full eyes widened. Isn't this a good thing? Perhaps you could learn more about your abilities and why you have those eyes. This is always something you want to know, right? Perhaps this person is even your family, she said to him. Naruto nodded slowly in a way he could learn some of that from the man, but not in the circumstances that Fu expect. The man who possessed the Rinnegan is the leader of the Akatsuki, a man known as Pain. As a silence fell over the room, until Fu spoke up. So, he's our enemy. I don't know, but he's the leader of the group that is trying to capture the Jinchurikis. It feels more like an enemy of coincidence more than anything. But is it really coincidence? As Fu was focused on him, she loved Naruto, and anyone that was coming after him was her enemy. Not to mention this man was after her too. What does that matter why? He has the same dojutsu, she said. He's trying to kill us to get Komi and the Kyuubi. The fact that he has a Rinnegan just makes him more dangerous in the end. As it then struck her, all that power that Naruto possessed, that overwhelming force that could change the landscapes, someone else also possessed it, that was coming after them to kill them. There was also the fact that this man was older and much wiser on controlling his powers and knowing the full extent of them. I just don't know, said Naruto. She saw the conflicting look on his face as she realized how much this must be affecting him, given that genetics were also passed through family, mostly. This pain probably was new to family, and you will have to face him. The blonde, on the other hand, had just reconnected with his family to see who they actually were. But this pain, he was coming after both him and Fu. And he couldn't let him harm Fu no matter what. He had made himself a promise that he would never let his precious people get hurt ever again, especially when he can do something about it. As his mind was whirling about the possibilities, Fu saw a look on his face as she moved closer. He turned as her lips pressed up against his, a quick kiss as she stepped back. If you keep thinking about it right now, it will only make you stress, and you will lose focus and be less effective. It sounds cold, what a Jonin might say to her student, but she tried to make it sound as warm as possible. As it worked, because his body started to relax. As she took the opportunity to lean in again as she kissed him, this time extending it for a long while. He was a bit disappointed when she pulled away. As she stood up as she walked towards the door, but to his confusion she locked it. He was about to say something but she placed a finger on his lip. Shh, she said, her cheeks red. Do you remember what we were talking about before we were attacked on the ship? Almost instantly, his cheeks got red. After all, he had a good memory. As he gulped, understanding why she wanted to stay here tonight, other than traveling through the night. As she sat right in his lap, she stole another kiss from him. Don't think about too many details, remember? She said. I don't know a lot about these kind of things, so we do whatever's comfortable. As Naruto nodded, as that made her smile. Good. As in one quick motion, she moved her and pulled her top off, exposing her upper body to the warm air of the room. This was not the first time he saw her completely naked, but in this setting, with her in his lap, and so close, it was completely different. Slowly, he pulled off his own shirt, just doing what is comfortable, just like what she said. You really are beautiful, Fu, said Naruto. He didn't give her a chance as he kissed her, as the both of them rolled over in the bed. Time skip. As Naruto took a deep breath, as his hand gently ran through her hair, as the girl slept, huddled up against him, as she murmured something, blissfully asleep. As much as he didn't want to move from this position, the late morning sun was streaming through the window, and they didn't want to keep Tsunami any longer. Fu, he said as he gently shook her shoulder, and she curled up in him even more, her eyes slowly opening with a smile, her bare chest on full display. As Naruto blushed, thinking about their recent activities. Must we get up now, she said. As Naruto raised the eyebrow, it was unlike her to act this passionately. Then again, he had discovered a completely different side of Fu last night that he didn't even know was there. The marks on his back from her fingernails were gone now, but that side was completely different from the way she acted. Yeah, come on, I can smell breakfast downstairs, he said, as she picked herself up, as she looked down at Naruto before coming down, giving him a kiss on the lips. Morning, she said. Morning, he said to her, as she got off the bed to pick up her clothing. As Naruto looked up, their clothing was all over the place. How the hell did that happen? Well, the both of them kind of got in the mood, so they couldn't blame each other. As he got himself ready as well, as they were going to be setting out to begin the rain, as he wanted to see the leader of the Akatsuki and the exact threat that the man posed against him and Fu. After all, he promised himself a long time ago he would never let anyone hurt his precious people, and if it meant going up against his pain, then he would have to. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see things part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3. I post what if on each of them every single day for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying, talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys very soon. Peace.